Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve Hatherley in the studio. Hello, Steve.
Hello. Nice to see you again. And thanks as always for having me back. I'm looking forward to our show today.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it feels like it's almost intended for children in a way. Because this is the type of stuff that kids learn in Canada when we're studying French. And you teach them the fun little things from the animal world. But this is perfect for me in where I am in my Chinese studies because I don't know anything that we're going to be talking about today.
It really is fun. And I want to know, are you a very fluent French speaker?
So in Canada, we study French in public school from maybe it might be different now. It might even be earlier. But for me, I think it was the third or fourth grade when we started studying French. And then that continues all the way up until high school. And in high school, you have some choices. So for me, it was mandatory all the way up until the 10th grade, first year of high school. Then after that, I had choices. I could do other languages or not. But I continued with French until the end of high school. And I took one class in university as well. So my French was pretty good, I think. Good enough to
communicate.
Be around
French people.
French speakers. But I haven't spoken French in more than 20 years.
But you're also a very fluent speaker of Korean.
No, I'm not a fluent speaker of Korean.
You're being modest.
No, I'm not. I can communicate effectively in Korean, but I'm not near close a fluent Korean speaker.
The only foreign language I can speak is English. And I also started learning English in my third grade, which means that I've learned some relatively childish words, but then I quickly move on to quote-unquote proper everyday English. But when I started to teach my kid English, I realized that the kind of language they learn is, like you said, very much fun.
Yeah.
And that was the moment I realized that how different animals sounds in different languages.
Oh, yes, right.
That is very interesting. It's kind of like every animal has their own way of speaking in different countries as well.
That's right.
It was really fun.
Yeah, different sounds for different animals, different sounds for just the machines that are in our lives and the sounds they make.
Yes,
for example, like a train. In English, we say choo-choo. But in Korean, they say something different. And in Chinese, it's probably something different from that as well. Yeah, it's really kind of fun.
Yes, and that is going to be the topic of today's Takeaway Chinese. So for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. All right, very much fun. Let's start with some common animal names for sure, because we want to know the names and know how they speak in the language, in the sense that a cat meows in English.
Right.
And a cat also meow in Chinese.
Oh, okay.
That is a happy one. So cat, 猫.
Mao.
Yes, that's cat. If you want to say kitty, it's 猫咪 or 小猫咪.
Oh, so Mao is
the animal.
Is it? Yeah, but even in the variations, for example, in English, it's cat and kitty. Cat and kitty are not connected, right? It's not similar. But Mao is cat, and then kitty, you said, is Mao mi.
Mao mi or 小猫.
Right, so
like
Mao.
small cat,
right,
yes.
Mao exists in that word, too.
Yes.
Point. Yeah.
That's the thing about the Chinese language. Most occasions, if we're talking about the variations, for example, in English, you have cow, ox, buffalo. In Chinese, you have 牛 for all of those, but there are 水牛 for buffalo, 公牛 for bull, and 奶牛 for cow. So it's all the same thing, the same species.
So that's convenient then.
Yes.
Yeah, it's easier to remember them. Okay, Mao is cat.
Mao is cat, and Mao goes meow.
Yeah, Mao goes meow.
Yeah, in
right.
Chinese too. So meow meow, that's Chinese. And also 狗,
狗.
that's dog.
Oh, okay.
Dog in English goes woof, right? In Chinese, it goes wang wang.
Wang wang.
Yes.
In Korean, it's mang mang.
Mang mang. Ah, similar
Yeah,
in a
very
way.
similar.
Yes.
Wang wang.
Wang wang, that's 狗. And also, for example, tiger.
Okay.
Tiger in Chinese is 老虎 or simply 虎.
Oh, so you can say 老虎 or just 虎?
Yes.
Okay. 老虎.
老虎. So I think 虎 is the official name. And there are, for example, different types of tigers. Like in China, we have 东北虎. That's the northern eastern tiger, the 东北 tiger, but it's tiger. Whereas 老虎 is also the official name for 虎, for tiger, yet it's 2 syllables, so it's easier to use in everyday language. And also when you're not specifying which kind of tiger we're talking about, you can just say 老虎. It's just, a bit easier.
In general.
So 虎, tiger, 老虎.
So tigers roar. Even the sound is like roar. Is that any different in Chinese?
Come to think of it, I suddenly realized we do not have a character for a tiger roaring.
Oh, interesting.
It's interesting. I mean, I can think of a childish sound like ow, ow. So ow and ooh, ow. But it's a childish sound. You would see those characters in children's books, but maybe not serious literature novels or literary works. But owl is what I can think about. Besides that, we have definitely a way to describe that sound. For example, we say 虎啸.
虎啸.
啸 is the action of the tiger's roaring. For instance, 虎啸 can be found in the Chinese idiom 虎啸龙吟. So 龙 is dragon, and yin is also like making a sound, but in a more majestic, elegant, but still quite powerful way. So 虎啸龙吟 is like describing, they're making voices. But exactly what voice do they make? And having a character or a word for that voice, I cannot think of one right now.
Oh, interesting.
Right? It's a different type, because in Chinese, for instance, if you want to say 猫 and 狗, the cat and dog, 猫叫, so cat making voice. 叫 is not exactly speak. It's more like making a voice. An animal making a voice would be 叫, and people making a voice would be 说话, speak. So 猫 and 狗, you would use the verb 叫.
叫.
And tiger, we cannot say 叫 because it's much stronger and much majestic than that. So 虎啸.
虎啸. Would it be the same for lion? Because in English, we say the same thing, I think, for lions and tigers. Lion roar, tigers roar. And it's that roar sound. So you don't have a character for a tiger's voice, if you will.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Okay. Same thing with lion then?
Same thing with lion, 狮子叫. I think if you really want to use 叫 as a general term for 老虎 and 狮子, tigers and lions, people understand. It's just, we all know the sound is much stronger, and we don't really have a word for that. Ow.
What other animals do I need to know about today?
What other animals are you interested in?
What's a rabbit?
Rabbit. To start with, rabbit in Chinese is 兔子.
兔子.
Yes, 兔 is the animal, and 兔子 is making it lighter and more colloquial.
What sound does a rabbit make?
A sound of a rabbit. To start with, does rabbit make sounds in English?
No, they don't. It just occurred to me there is no rabbit sound. I don't think I've ever heard a rabbit make a sound at all.
No, they're very silent animals.
They just sit there, right?
Yes, I think they have this tiny little voice they make within their mouth, but definitely not to communicate with each other, in my opinion.
I've only heard like ASMR videos of rabbits chewing.
Chewing.
It's pretty cool. Okay, 兔子.
兔子 is rabbit in Chinese, yet I do not know whether or not they say anything. But sheep say things. What does sheep say in English?
Bah.
when you voice it that way, it makes more sense. Because when I was teaching my kid, I say, sheep says ba. And I was like, ba, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
They don't say that.
When you see it written down, it doesn't seem to make much sense.
Makes much more sense.
Yeah, right.
Because in Chinese, it's meh.
Yep, that kind of vibrating voice.
Yes, meh. And mie is the character for meh. We would make that sound a little bit, but the Chinese character would be mie.
So how do you say sheep? Yang?
Yang. Mie would be the sound they make.
Okay.
And for instance, frogs say things in English, right?
Ribbit.
Ribbit.
Or croak. But that's not the sound, that's the action. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're croaking.
Yes.
But the sound is ribbit.
I was teaching my kid. Frog says ribbit. And I was like, ribbit is just way too...
Again, it's another example. When you read it written out, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yes. I think now I will correct myself to my kid and say, it's not ribbit, it's ribbit. Ribbit, right? Well, in Chinese, frogs say quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
Right?
Yeah.
Quack, quack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is such a fun episode.
Totally.
I have to say.
Snakes.
Oh, snakes.
How do you say snake?
蛇.
蛇.
It's the year of the snake. 蛇年.
蛇年.
Yes.
Year of the snake. In English, the sound for a snake is very simple. It's just
Oh, that's the fun part of different languages are formed different ways because English is formed with letters and letters make up words. And you just need to make sure the pronunciation of those letters combined together is like possible.
Yeah. So in English, when you see the...
You can even create a word.
Yeah. And when you see the letters of the sound of a snake written out, it's usually just S, 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 S.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in a story, the snake said, and they always do that. Voice actors do. So that's the sound.
How about hiss?
Hiss is the sound of like a cat would make. Or
an angry cat.
And like an angry cat, you could say a snake hisses. You could say
it's also the
otter,
action.
And yeah, I think so. Hiss is like
so it's the action, and the sound for that action is
yeah.
In Chinese we say ha.
Haha.
It's just the
Sounds like
LOL laughing character, and we use it only for cats.
Yeah.
And we say 猫咪喵喵叫. If you say 猫咪喵喵叫, so 喵喵we know is the sound they make, and 叫 is making sounds, the action. So it's like the cat is happy, and I would even ask my friend, 那只猫哈你了吗? So did the cat hiss you? That's ha. So making the sound.
Oh, see, that's not the happy sound.
No.
Happy sound is purr.
Purr is the happy sound.
Like
Yes.
But that
It's the
means
angry
get
sound.
away from me immediately.
Yes.
Yeah. So snakes sound in Chinese. Oh, it's the same.
It's similar because if you pronounce the character very carefully and correctly, it would be s. So it's not the s, the sending the air out kind of sound. It has to be with a s, a solid kind of ending. S, yes. S.
Okay. How about a duck?
A duck in Chinese would say 嘎嘎.
嘎嘎.
鸭子嘎嘎叫.
Duck is a cow, right?
Duck is 鸭.
No,
Cow.
I mean a duck. How do you say duck in Chinese?
鸭子.
鸭子.
鸭.
Oh, I thought...
北京烤
Yeah.
鸭. 烤 is roasted.
Oh, cow is roasted.
Yes.
Ah, okay. So cow is roasted and duck is...
鸭.
Yeah.
鸭 or 鸭子 like 兔子.
鸭子. Okay. In English, ducks say quack, quack.
You're very good at
Quack,
making
quack,
animal
quack,
sounds.
Quack, 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 quack.
Okay, in Chinese it says 嘎嘎.
Ga, ga. Ga, ga. Yeah, it's a little similar, I guess, isn't it?
Definitely quite similar. And 嘎嘎, that's 鸭子 say 嘎嘎. Oh, one other one I think is really good is cows. What does cow say?
Moo.
Ooh, that's close. In Chinese, it's mo mo. We have a character for the sound that cows are making. mo mo. But people from different places might have different version of it. For instance, in my childhood, I remember saying murmur. It's not correct or it's not standard Chinese, but again, people would have different versions of the sound. But I guess I can understand it as momo plus the R sound in, Beijing accent would make murmur. Only my understanding.
So in English, you can be very dramatic with your animal sounds. You could say like, like that. Do you do that in
We do that in Chinese too.
Right.
It's just you do not have characters
Yeah.
sounding like that.
Right. The characters aren't dramatic. The speaker is.
And other one I have to mention would be pigs. Pigs in English says oink oink.
Yeah, oink.
That is not what pig sounds.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's
I don't know
weird sound.
I don't know who in the English language made that, but they were wrong, I think. I think like the official sound maker was on vacation.
You've got some amateur sound
The
maker.
replacement guy was
Didn't do
given
it right.
the pig project and he just didn't know what he was doing.
Well, luckily here in China, we do not really have a pig sound, which makes the confusion a little less complicated.
The pigs, however, the action, what they're doing is snorting.
Yes.
We say snorting.
Yes.
And sometimes people, when they laugh, we say, oh, you snort when you laugh.
Yes, we do that too. In Chinese, we say 笑出猪叫声. So 笑 is to laugh. 出 is the result coming out of it, carrying that kind of meaning. And 猪 is pig. 叫 we know is the action of animal making sound. 声 is the sound. So 笑出猪叫声, you laugh too hard to make the sound when a pig snorts.
Yeah, exactly. But I agree with you 100%. Oink does not sound anything like what a pig has to say.
Yes, and those are some fun animal sounds. Animals are our really good friends in the sense that thanks to them, some of them provide us with really good meat to eat. It's a practical reason, and it is what it is. And I'm trying to teach my kid that you like the animal, but you also like the food.
Right.
It's the nature,
I understand,
circle of life.
Yeah.
And also, they are very important parts in the nature in ecological sense, and some of them are our pets and we love them like we love our family members. I think what I'm trying to say here is that animals are important, which makes learning about animals quite important. Yet I have always been struggling with the concept of zoos.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I really respect and appreciate the people who work so hard in zoos to protect the animals and work with them, take care of them. But at the same time, I don't agree with the imprisonment of animals. And many people might think that's a dramatic, strong word.
But I agree with you.
Right. It's not their natural setting, right?
And there are different reasons, to put an animal in a zoo, and there are different situations for different animals for sure. Some animals need to be protected. Some animals may have been suffering from certain disease and they need to be taken care of. And some animals are just fine with relatively conservative areas like monkeys. If you put monkeys in a small hill in a zoo, it's actually fine. I think I've visited several zoos here in China, and many of them would have Hongshan, so a monkey mountain or a monkey hill, making their active space or their areas for activity much larger, which is kind of fine. But for example, tigers, if they're in a cage, elephants, if they're in a cage, it makes me sad.
Yeah, there's no clear yes or no answer, so I feel torn. I feel torn about that issue too.
And that is why when I really get to see a good zoo with the right animals in it and with the developing or let's say creating notion behind the constructing of the zoo based on how animals would feel in the zoo instead of how can we better make those animals entertain the audience, that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's right. So the purpose of animals is not to entertain human beings, right? But if we can put them in an environment where they're happy and they feel comfortable, and then we can interact and use that as a learning experience,
That's win-win.
That's a good thing. I don't think there are enough zoos in the world that live up to that standard. But when they do, I think it's a good thing.
Have you ever visited a really good zoo? Oh, by the way, zoo in Chinese, 动物园.
动物园.
So 动物 is animal, and 园 is, we talked about
Facility.
This. Yes,
Yeah, right.
动物园.
动物园.
It's like an animal park, so a zoo.
I've been to ones that I thought were okay, but I've been to more where I thought, this isn't right. And again, I'm not talking about the people that work there. They're doing their best. They really are. They love the animals that they try to take care of. But I saw some bad conditions in some places and it kind of put me off. I haven't been to a zoo in a really, really long time. Have you been to some great ones?
Yes, I've been to some good ones, and I noticed the development of different zoos because when I was a kid, when I was in Shanxi province as a little girl growing up, of course, before the age of especially 9 or 10, I visited many zoos. At that time, you would see most animals are in the indoor area, which is reasonable because it's easy to control to management and to feed them and to make sure the environment within the zoos, within the rooms, such as the temperature and whether or not it's humid enough, these are easy to control. But this time, when I took my kid to the animal in Shanxi province, they started to have this setting of having an open area, relatively larger open area, and it's linked to the rooms of the animals. If they want to go into the rooms to sleep or to eat, they can go in. But if they want outdoor activity, it's easy for them to get outdoor. So it's getting better. And also there's the Hongshan, the hills of monkeys, different types of monkeys. And also for birds, it's a huge area with, instead of real ceilings, but the net kind of ceilings.
Oh,
so
yes.
though birds cannot fly out, they can still fly a little bit and they can communicate with each other. And you need to be a bit careful because they might not land on you. Their feces might.
Right.
So different situations. So I think it's getting a bit better.
My sister just returned to Canada from South Africa. She went on a kind of safari tour.
Oh, safaris are good.
How do you say safari in Chinese?
We have relatively more complicated way of saying it. It's more like describing it, not translating it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. She went on a kind of a guided tour, and she had a life-changing experience is the way that she put it. Not because anything in particular happened that was dangerous or overly exciting, but everything was exciting in the sense that she saw those animals in their natural environments. And that's something when you're from the east coast of Canada, you never ever get an opportunity to see a giraffe in front of you.
That is so cool.
Yeah, she said it was really stunning. It's on my bucket list of things to do for sure.
I want to go safari as well, especially in Africa. Or maybe in a rainforest, Amazon.
Some zoos do have like a nighttime safari type thing I've heard about, and probably a daytime safari thing too, where you go and I guess you go in a Jeep or some kind of car or something, and you do that where you can kind of see the animals there. I've heard that those are quite fun to do as well.
And recently a zoo here in China got really, really popular. The zoo's name is Hongshan 动物园, so the Hongshan Forest Zoo in Nanjing City. And in 2024, it welcomed almost 8 million visitors.
Wow.
During holidays, the zoo even has to limit daily entries to 80,000 and instantaneous visitors to 40,000.
Wow.
And these numbers actually rival the daily visitor flow of Shanghai Disneyland. People are loving this zoo. And initially I thought, having too many people in animal environment is going to be bad for the animals. But that's actually not the case. For starters, Hongshan Forest Zoo is the first zoo in China to eliminate animal performances.
Yes, well done.
Yes, I don't like animal performances. And in 2011, it stopped hosting animal shows for good. And by 2014, it continued selling animal feed to visitors so that you cannot really do that to the animals. Even some people think, I'm feeding them, I am giving them a treat. Actually, it's bad for their diet and the behavior is not encouraging because some of those animals would be released to wild once they're cured for a certain wound they were suffering from. So that, and I think this is quite sweet because the managing philosophy behind the Hongshan Zoo is that here in the zoo, the animals are the hosts and you are a guest. And a guest should be, following the host.
Respectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that is very lovely.
Yeah. So in that place, there's no expectation. There's no pressure for the animals to entertain, I guess. The people, the humans, they just do as they please.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And since 2009, the zoo has renovated 24 enclosures, including habitats for Chinese felines, tigers, and during designing process, they did what I hoped people working in zoos could do. That is to imagine yourself as an animal. Think about what you would need as an animal. What do you need in the morning? Do you want to go out
Breakfast.
to have for sure, to have a tour? And would you like to stay in a relatively green area? Or do you want to hide in certain places?
Oh, so they created the environment to try to accommodate the animals as best they could.
Exactly. And they want to make all of the rock, the layers of plants to try to create a natural looking environment for the animals. I think it's actually both good for the animals, which is more importantly, and also for people who are visiting the zoos because it mimics the environment actually in the nature.
Yeah, so it's kind of a win-win. And I've read stories before where the zoologists or the people who work at the zoos, the experts will say when they can closely recreate the animal's natural environment or as close as they can, they'll notice behavioral changes in the animal too. And that makes sense because if they feel comfortable enough to think that they are in their natural environment, they're going to act how they act in nature.
Environment.
Otherwise, they won't. They'll be stressed. Their behavior will change. Their health will be bad and so on.
Exactly. And at the same time, I think it happens to human beings as well. If you feel like you're in a relatively more natural environment, you would litter less, you would not disturb the animals, and it's a better learning opportunity for kids to learn about how animals act in nature as well.
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yes. And for such kind of zoo to continue to operate, definitely they're doing really well when it comes to making a fortune in the business sector as well. They are creating, well, it's not like creating, it's more like personalize each and every animal. Instead of seeing a group of gazilla as a group of gazilla, they pick out each and every one, give them cute names, record their stories, how they interact with their family members and their friends, and share those stories to people so that you feel like not only are you looking at how this particular gorilla is living, you're also learning a little bit about their lives.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it makes the experience more special, I think, when you do things like provide names and backstories and things like that.
Yes. And actually, in the first half of 2023, Hongshan Forest Zoo's cultural merchandise sales exceeded 5 million yuan. Previously, 85% of the zoo's revenue came from its 40 yuan tickets, a price unchanged for over a decade, which is also quite honorable, to be honest.
That's why they have to cap their numbers at 80,000 visitors a day during the holidays, I think. Yeah.
And in the same time, they're creating all this recreational and cultural little souvenirs and also toys. And once you learn about the story of this lovely animal, definitely you would want a little plush toy of it as well.
Yeah, sure. So, that makes sense. Has the zoo taken advantage of things that we've seen in other industries like live streaming? Because I can imagine that would be a popular thing for people to watch too, particularly if you visited the zoo you became familiar with some of the animals, and then you could watch them through videos or things like that.
Yes,
Have they done that?
That is happening as well. And besides that, actually, they're encouraging visitors to interact with each other and with the animals. I'm not really sure how are the animals taking the message, but that is making the experience more comprehensive and interesting. And what's more important is that all revenue from merchandise sales is reinvested into improving animal habitats and zoo facilities.
What a wonderful place this sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah, see, so what I said before when I said I'm torn, this kind of facility sounds like the kind of place that's doing it right.
Yes,
right?
we don't hate zoos. We just need good zoos in the world.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Steve here in the studio. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, comments, and a 5-star rating. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
谢谢, thank you, see you next time.